Amanda from Salty North Studio, and today I'm going to go over my second technique in seamless pattern making in Adobe Illustrator. In this video, I'm going to go over how to create more of a tossed pattern instead of a more geometrical pattern, which is what we went over in my previous video. I'll link that here below. So I have these cute little planters themed for Halloween, and I'm going to use these motifs to show you just exactly what I mean. So when I create a tossed pattern, the first thing that I do is get my motifs in Illustrator like this, and I don't necessarily worry about the color right off the bat. These happen to be colored the way I want them to, but you can always just arrange them in the manner that you want them to look and then recolor them and finalize your pattern that way. So you want a square. So I'm going to start with this black square, and I just locked it, so I'll show you how to do that. So I'm just selecting my square and I am locking it with Command 2. So now it's not going to move, and I can drag my motifs around and it won't move. So I'm going to start by resizing some of these and just creating a pattern here just randomly. It's pretty good. Oops. So as you can see, I'm just kind of placing them where I think they fit, sort of like a puzzle, and I'm staying in the middle, but it looks like I'm going to have to start crossing some edges soon. So if you want to start to cross your motifs over these edges like this, you have to keep in mind that we have to create a seamless square. So in doing that, we cannot put a different motif over here and a different motif over here on opposite corners, because whatever is in this left-hand corner has to be in this right-hand corner, or vice versa. So I'm going to focus on only crossing my motifs over the top side of the square and this left side, and then what I'm going to do is transfer them over seamlessly onto the bottom side and the right side. So you can go ahead and arrange your motifs using this method, and I'll be right back. So now that I've pretty much filled up the top and the left side and most of the middle, what I'm going to do is unlock my square. And that's just because I need to know the exact measurements of the square or your artboard, whatever you're working on, in order to do this next step. So just for the sake of sanity, I'm going to make it an actual square, which it should have been all along. So I'm going to move it over like this. Okay. So now I know that it's exactly 1080 pixels both sides. So I'm going to lock it again so that I'm not moving it around. And what I want to do is select everything on my left side, right click, and click Transform, Move. And here I'm going to tell the computer to move everything 1080 pixels to the right horizontally so that it is seamless on the right side. And you can preview that, and you want to make sure that you click copy, not OK, because if you click OK, it's going to take what you had over here and put it over here, kind of like what the preview did. But we want to make a copy so that it's on both sides. Now that I've done that, I want to do the same thing for my top. So I'm going to select everything that crosses this boundary here, this black line, and rotate or move it vertically 1080 pixels. And you want to make sure that horizontal set to 0, just like that, and click copy. So now all of my edges are seamless, and anything else that happens in the center of my pattern is up to me. So I'm going to start to rearrange this a little bit better now that I have my seamless edges. I've realized that some of these plants just don't fit where I thought they would. And when you're editing, you want to make sure that you are not moving any of these plants. Anything that is surrounding the edges, you can't move, because if you move this and don't move the corresponding one on the other side, it's not going to be seamless. So if you're going to move one, you want to move the other. And so I did that by selecting one, holding down Shift and selecting the other. And I just want to bring these up a little bit so that they're not touching this other plant, and I want to do the same with these. So I don't think this is great, but I'm going to use this as an example. So I'm going to go ahead and unlock my square. I'm going to click it. And in order for you to create a swatch in Adobe Illustrator, a pattern swatch, you have to have a clear boundary behind everything, behind your black square, your motifs, everything. It's got to be the very last thing. And if that's easier for you to do in your layers panel, you can do that by just making it the most bottom layer. But what I like to do is select my square, and I like to Command C, so I'm copying it, and Command B, which is pasting it directly behind itself. So there's two squares now, even though you can't see it. And while it's still selected, I want to deselect any fill and any stroke. It's got to be just like a blue line, you know, there can't be any fill or anything. And now Adobe knows where my edges are. And so when I go ahead and select everything and drag it into my swatches panel, it becomes a pattern. So I can test this by drawing out a square and seeing my pattern swatch. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so that you can see it. And there you go. You can see that everything is seamless. And I mean, the spacing definitely needs some editing here. But this is how you go ahead and do that. And if you want to view your pattern at a smaller scale, you can transform it, and you click scale here. And I always have preview on, and you want to click transform objects off. And you can bring it to 50%, and you see how small it gets. You can really see what's going on here in the gaps, so that you can go ahead and fix things, or you can blow it up. So I could do 150, right? And now it's just a zoomed in pattern swatch. I like about 80. I think that gives me a good sense of where I'm at here. And so editing is really just the same process. So now your clear square is behind everything. You don't have to worry about it. You just want to make sure that it doesn't move. And if locking these two squares helps, I would by all means do that. Otherwise, you can go ahead and edit things to try to make the spacing a little bit better. So I'm gonna go ahead and see what I can do to make this pattern look a lot better than it already does. Okay, so I've arranged my pattern a little bit better, and this is my final swatch here. Everything looks fairly even, and I actually did another colorway as well, which is pretty simple. I can actually show you that now. So if you want to recolor something, instead of going into your design and selecting individual elements and changing their color one by one, you can get a larger sense of what looks good by using the Recolor tool. So I want to select my pattern and click the Recolor Artwork tool. And I have a little swatch folder here that I'll just use to show you. So once I select that, it totally replaces every color that I had in here, and I can kind of go through what it could look like. Illustrator does this automatically for you. It uses all the swatches that you have, and it just rearranges things. So you can tell if something's going to look all right or pretty good with a certain group of colors. And that's why I like to use this. But if you don't think that Illustrator is getting it right, you can go into your design and change things specifically, which I do recommend most of the time. But this definitely helps me see if I'm on the right track in choosing my colors. And if I want to change one color, and instead of going in and selecting everything, I'm going to go to the same thing, the Recolor tool, and say I wanted to change this orange color. So that's going to be this dark orange that I see in multiple places in my pattern. I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to go down here, and you can use these sliders to change that color, and it does it live for you so that you can see what it looks like, which is really great. So if you're not happy with that orange, you can change it or just kind of fix it up a little if it's not bright enough. That's the perfect place to do it so that you don't have to go into your pattern and fix everything. So if you're happy with what you have, you click OK, and it adds another swatch for you. So it keeps your old swatch, and here's your new swatch. And you can always go through these and delete what you don't want to keep things organized. So there you have it, and I hope this technique helps. You can do this with any motif. You can rotate things and make them look more tossed. If you have any questions, I would love to help you out. Just comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to this video and follow me on Instagram